Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Trying to record this again without crashing or feeling extremely lightheaded. I've been sick for the past few days, but we have a weak point damage build here for you guys with the Ritualist and Hunter. I used to run this build with either Hunter Gunslinger or the dog. Those worked extremely well, especially the dog with bow. Hunter Gunslinger better with single shot weapons. It's the best setup I've found so far though. As for our relic, we use the Averting Heart. We don't use standard healing relics because you can't get healing while this Death Wish is active, and we lose our damage without it being active, so we want to reset it as fast as possible. Hence why we have Diverting Heart on. As for our weapon, we use Crescent Moon. We use this for two reasons. For one, Sagittarius can only hit 10k about maxed out, while this bow can hit 7,000 damage, but it can fire two arrows while the perk is sprung, so you can hit 1,400 or 14,000, sorry, damage on the bow shots. We use top heavy for a mod here, or for a mutation here, because it's always active. I get the full capacity because there's only one arrow loaded at any point. Your melee doesn't really matter with this build. I just put on Curl Axe because it's fun. Stormbringer because it procs with Overload. It's not really relevant to the build. You can use whatever you want there. We keep our Corrupted Rune Pistol. This is like the best in the slot if you're doing any build with weak point, because of Death Brand is just so strong. Twisting Wounds we use because we still use our Aggressive Whetstone for a crit damage and crit chance. We use Prop Core for the big damage boost. We use Archer's Crest because the bows are slow as hell to draw. And we want the projectile speed to just more reliably hit our targets at range. You don't have to use it. You could swap for damage, but I don't recommend it. We're using Is Malice for weak point stacks, and as well as the Ring of Flawed Beauty for more weak point. You can swap this for Destroyer if you would like, but since it's a weak point focused build, I would say just go Flawed Beauty. You're going to be aiming for weak points with the bow regardless. If you're missing weak points, you're missing a lot of damage, so there's no real reason to run this otherwise. As for our traits, we have Kinship because Death Wish counts as friendly fire. Using Kinship, you drastically reduce the damage Death Wish does to you. Flashcaster because it's always nice to have your spells and abilities come out faster, especially Death Wish. The animation for this ability is quite long, especially even with Flashcaster. We use Vigor because we don't have standard healing as we talked about earlier with the build, so we rely on our higher health pool to sustain from lifestealing. Expertise to get our cooldowns a bit lower. Siphoner to stay alive. Footwork because we're ADSing most of the time, so it's going to be very, very good for us. Fitness, again, we don't want to take hits. If you do, it's fine. You have lifesteal, but we don't want to be. We just want to avoid getting hit as much as possible. Resonance is an interesting one here. The use is because, well, we're ad clearing. It's not so much for bossing. You can switch it up for bossing if you like to, but for ad clearing, Resonance actually increases the range of which Hunter's Shroud can mark enemies. So it's a bigger AoE of what you mark while you're clearing rooms and maps. So that's why we use that there. As for how we use the build here, we swap to our pistol. Actually, we swap to our pistol. Pop our Hunter Shroud. Shoot a few times. Get our stacks up. Pop our ability. Pop Death Wish. Pop the mod. Then you start loosing arrows. Now, sometimes you don't get crit, sometimes you get both a crit. As you saw there, 78,000 on both shots is ridiculous damage. About 15k total for one shot there. Then sometimes it'll run out like that. As soon as you run out, you want to pop a heart. And that'll get Death Wish proccing back up. And while this is happening, you want to swap to your Rune Pistol. Get the stacks back up for your mod. Just ready to go next time. Then switch back to your bow once you have that. Then start stacking this so it's ready. Then once it's ready again. And this works because of the fact that your Hunter main class, you can pop a heart to start getting your cooldown. Or not your cooldown, sorry. You can pop a heart in order to get your Hunter's mark extended. You just keep going like this. Another thing I love about Ritualist for this setup is that On the old build, I would have to do this every 10 seconds by shooting this gun. But with Ritualist, because of the intrinsic trait, it doubles the duration. So we have the bleeding effect for 20 seconds instead of 10. So that's how that works there. And I'll show you guys a boss fight.